I feel like we've answered the question. What do you think?
in like a 700 roundabout way? Yes. Is that crystal clear for you?
Does that follow the yellow brick road for you?
Right.
We're back. We're back again. Hello. I don't
We're
know.
back again.
We are back again. 2 weeks in a row, Nikki. This is
Oh my gosh.
this is amazing.
We're doing fantastic.
Yes, our regularly scheduled videos have slowed down. I'm still just trying to find a good work-life balance. I was just telling Nikki, I've been
Mhm.
working so much these last few weeks. My roommate came in the other day and said, if you don't leave that desk, I'm shutting off the internet. And so she made me go. She said, you have to go take a walk around the neighborhood. I said, I don't have time to
Yeah.
go take a walk around the neighborhood. And she said, you at least have to go outside. So I
Yeah.
went and stood on the back porch and just stood there. And then the no-see-ums, those little bugs that you can't see but that bite you, they itch
Mm.
so badly. They bit me all over, and I said, I'm coming back inside. And
This
I
is
came
why I
back
don't
and
go
sat down at
outside.
the desk and worked some more. So
Oh
I
my
at least
gosh.
took a step outside long enough for her to not shut down the internet on me. But it's just been
Oh
so
my
crazy. The days
gosh.
are going by so fast.
I
But
know.
I'm absolutely loving what I'm doing, so I'm not upset about that.
Yay.
I just don't have enough time in my day to do all the things I wanna do.
I know. And I was telling Tina how I finally get half a day off on Friday. And so I am finally going to record for all of my two listeners. I'm going to record, and I'm so excited to finally record and put a video out there that I've been wanting to do for like months now. It's been
Yes.
months, but
Okay,
I'm going to do it.
so your 2 listeners, when Nikki puts a video out there, that's when people really like it. So, we'll see.
Right.
We'll see
Oh
how
my
this one
goodness.
goes.
Yeah. Please
Our
like my video.
our
Make me
reels
feel
last
good.
week did well. I
They
think we got the
did.
most views on our reels last week, or the shorts on
Yeah.
YouTube than we'd ever gotten. I think people like it when we're just silly.
Normal.
Yeah.
Our actual selves.
Yeah, don't try to act like we're not, the way that we're not, and just how we are
Right.
together. That seems to
Right.
go over
So,
pretty well.
tip number one, be yourself.
Right, right.
If you want to start a podcast, tip number one.
Exactly. And that's actually a great thing to bring up. And we're not scripted here, but we did have
Oh,
a
yeah.
comment on one of our videos last week, and we were asked to give some advice for somebody who's thinking about starting a YouTube channel or starting a podcast. What
Hmm.
are some things to think about? And then all week in my mind, I have had this thing in my mind. From the Wizard of Oz, and they say lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, and it's
Right.
so terrifying. The thing in my mind keeps coming up, the thing that we were asked to talk about that honestly I cringed a little bit.
Hmm.
So this is going to be adjusted for us this week. Lions and tigers and copyright. Oh my,
Right.
because copyright to me is probably one of the most terrifying things that you can talk about, in my opinion,
Hmm.
because I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I know just
Right.
enough to make me scared.
Right.
And that is something that we were asked to just talk about. How do we post these videos? We use a lot of music. Now
Hmm.
we're not running this mega YouTube channel or this podcast yet. That is
Right. It's
just like
coming.
bringing
Slowly
in the
growing.
millions and millions of views.
Oh,
But
no.
Nikki is over there like, what are you talking about? Yes, we are. She doesn't know where I'm going with
We
that.
compared to before, I'm actually very thankful that the people that are watching our videos, I'm so thankful. That's so awesome
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah, it's been so much fun to see just the growth. And,
Just
we
yeah,
haven't
the
even been
slow
doing this a
progress.
year.
Right.
And I feel like we've just been pretty steady at our numbers.
Hmm.
And each week I see it go up just a little bit. And that's
Right.
exciting. And when you guys comment, like it makes my whole day when I see a comment pop up. And
Yeah.
it's somebody who just takes time to either like or just say, hey, this helped me in some way. I'm
Right.
excited for more or whatever. It's such motivation to know that there are people on the other side of that. No
We
offense to my
usually
mom, but it's nice to know that it's
right.
not just my mom on the other end.
We usually, whenever we see a comment, whoever sees it first, we usually screenshot and send to the other and be like, "Did you see this? This is awesome." Without fail, one of us will always do it.
Right. And I'm like, okay, we have to respond. We have to let them know that we appreciate
We see
their
it,
like
yeah.
whatever. I didn't tell you this the other day, but we got a comment on Facebook and it was some name I had not
Oh,
recognized or anything. And he said, "Oh, this was great. I'm so glad you're reunited and I'm looking forward to all of this stuff." And then
oh,
I
that's
saw
so
that we
sweet.
also had an inbox message from him around that same time, and
Oh,
it's like a scammer type situation where
oh, that's
they're telling
sad.
you, there's something wrong with your page, and if you don't do this in the next 24 hours, it's all going to be taken down. And I'm like, okay, I appreciate the nice comment. So he at least buttered us up first before he sent us a spam inbox message, so that was at least nice. But, when you start these accounts, you have to know that there are people out there, and whether it's actually a person on the other side or it's a robot or something,
Right,
they will go through and send you messages and things. I don't think we've gotten a legitimate message on Facebook yet. Honestly,
right,
most of them are just spam. And a lot of them are ones that say, "Hey, you have a violation. If you don't fix this, everything's going to be taken down." Well, I know
right,
that I haven't violated anything, so I don't even give those the time of day. I don't even
right.
read them. I can see the little blurb that gives me just a little summary of what's coming up, and I just delete them. I just ignore
Yeah,
them. So, I would say for my advice for somebody who is considering starting social media or a YouTube account or a podcast type, um, to first of all, just know that not everything that you're going to be given is legitimate. And not
mhm,
everything that pops up and says, "Hey, click this because you have a violation," it's not all legitimate, which also adds to that terrifying thought of, well, how do I know if I'm really doing something wrong, if it's legitimate that I have an
right,
issue or whatever. And I don't know that I have a one size fits all answer for that. So, in the comment that we got, let me read it. It says, "Hello, I'm thinking about starting a podcast with slides or maybe a YouTube channel and would love to hear your thoughts on how to start out. One of my greatest concerns with starting would be avoiding dun 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 copyright issues." And
mm,
so that's where we're at with this. Also, I believe that there was another comment that said that she uses a Chromebook. And so that's what she, has for her equipment. And so I
mhm.
told Nikki, I said, "Here, we have some things to talk about for this next episode, and we're going to get to it." Now, disclaimer again, we're not pros at any of this. We're literally just having fun with what we're doing.
Yeah,
But we have come across some things throughout the years and really this last year of noticing some things about, what to follow. And when I reached out to Nikki and I said, "So what would your thoughts be on this?" She came back with a pretty quick remark for YouTube. But if you don't know this, if you've never
then
uploaded a
th
YouTube video, you wouldn't
you
know.
wouldn't
So
know.
Nikki, explain to
Exactly.
us what happens when so we do our recordings for our
Mhm,
podcast in something called Riverside. It's
mhm.
riverside.fm. And a lot of companies are using these right now. A lot of
Yeah,
podcasters are using this right now to do recordings and things. You can do screen recordings with it. You can record by yourself. You can have somebody join you. You can even
right,
edit in it. I have found the editing software in Riverside to not be as substantial as some others that I have found. I feel like even
right.
Canva gives me more options than Riverside. When I edit our podcast, I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I don't think that that investment needs to be made for somebody starting out and somebody just learning how to do this. I think maybe an investment in something like Riverside where they have built in where you can do your recordings, you can
Mhm,
save, you can have they'll generate little video clips for you and then you can go in and
mhm.
edit it. They'll generate captions for you and then you can go through and edit those if you want to. You can do a lot in Riverside. So I feel
Yeah,
like for Riverside, it would be a great way to kind of get all of the facets that you might need for
right,
getting started. I think that that would be good. Starting a podcast or even a YouTube channel to be able to get everything in one place. I think that that would
right.
be a legitimate software to try. They do have a
Yeah,
free version. I believe with the free version, though, you're going to end up with a watermark on it that says Riverside, but you can at least get a taste for it to see if you like
Hmm.
it, see if it's something that you're interested in. And then if it is worth the investment to up your plan so that you have some more options with the recordings and some of the other features, then you could do that. Or you can try the free version and then decide you want to try something else. So Riverside has worked really well for us. And the nice
Yeah.
thing about it when we record together, it's delayed a little bit sometimes, but it's recording on our own devices. And then after we stop the meeting, then it loads it all into the cloud and it all kind of comes together. So if we're having internet issues, it's usually not a big deal on either end. It all kind of works itself out at the end. Now, sometimes there
Right.
are issues that pop up and we have to go back and try it again. But for the most part, we've really enjoyed using Riverside.
And it is a good thing, especially with a Chromebook. It is web based, so
Mm-hmm.
you can do everything. Your recording, you can do your editing, you can do everything straight from the web. Because I know Chromebooks have um, a restriction on what apps can be
Mm-hmm.
downloaded. So
Right.
because it is web based, it's so easy to use for the whole facet of recording and editing and doing all of that. It's worked fantastic for us.
Yeah. Also, your Chromebook might have a camera built in. I don't know what your Chromebook is set up to have.
Yeah.
I would imagine that it's probably not the best of webcams for that. I would assume that's my assumption. But you can try it at least for a little bit and just see if it works for you. And then again, you can invest in a little bit higher equipment. I am using for my recording today. I'm using an external webcam that just came off of Amazon. It's the brand is Inex, Innex. I feel like it's doing a pretty okay job. And
Mhm.
then Nikki is using, are you still using the Pixel phone?
Mhm, I use the
So
phone.
she's using the Pixel phone and you're able to use that as a webcam. So if you have a smartphone, you
Mhm.
might be able to use that feature for your video. And you know, I would start with what you have, see what you like, and then go from there before you make any big
Exactly.
investments. And then as far as the copyright goes, so when we add music, usually we record in Riverside. I export the files and then I upload them into whatever editing software I'm going to use.
Mhm.
And then we needed some music. And for this part, this is where the copyright part comes in. I need to have a dun 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 every time that I say that word in this video.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
so when you're working with music, my first thought when we did this was I'll just use Canva because I pay for, we have a
Mhm.
Teams account for Canva and we use Canva a lot. Canva is
Right.
limited, but for what we do, it's really a great tool and I
Yeah.
love being able to use it and they just keep making it better and better. So if that's a tool you want to use, go for it. It's pretty good, especially starting out. And they have audio on there, but I don't know if you even know this, Nikki. If you go into Canva and you click on any of the graphics or you click on any of the audio, there's usually some sort of little button. And I feel like it might have an eye with it, a little eye for information or something like that. There's usually a little button up in the corner that you can click on, and it lets you know what the rules are for using this. And
Mhm.
if anything in there is free, basically the free stuff from what I gather, and you would want to go off of what their website says, not off of what I'm saying. But anything that's free is pretty fair game on Canva. But some of the other things,
Right.
they tell you how often you can use it, how many
Mhm.
licenses you can have with it. Um, if I were to design something in Canva for us to use, for example, I have a picture behind me with our logo on it and the graphics that we used. We pulled from Canva and we put them together to build our logo from there. And we paid for it. We have all that. But if I were to send that file to someone else, I they were supposed to be able to edit that file. They also have to have a paid account for Canva to be able for me to be able to exchange that. So I
Mhm.
can't just pull files from Canva and send to somebody else for somebody else to use if they don't also have the same level of account that I do. So I don't know if that makes sense to you all, but they have a lot of good videos explaining the usage requirements and the rights that you have as somebody who subscribes to Canva. They have a lot of good information on their website, and most sites do. If you go looking for what the requirements are, that'll help you out. So the part, Nikki, that I was saying that I didn't know if you knew this, did you know that there are some restrictions on some of the audio in Canva where it says you cannot use it in a podcast episode or in a podcast?
No, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So in Canva's policies and content license agreement, it says, so this is for the pro music and for popular music, you can use it, but there are limitations. Um, Limited on use in advertising. Pro music cannot be used in traditional media ads or commercials in paid channels such as TV, cinema, radio, podcast, and billboard. It's fine to use in online ads such as pre, mid, and post roll ads within a YouTube video. Um, Limits on use in video. Pro music can't be used in TV, SVOD, radio slash podcasts, feature films, vignettes, theme songs, software applications, or video games.
Wow.
So anyway, when I saw that, and I'm no attorney, I just see, okay, we're doing a podcast. I want to make sure we are not breaking any laws or we're not going to get in trouble
Right.
later on. So while I do use Canva audio in some of the videos that we do just to put on YouTube, I don't know. I don't use Canva on the audio that we use for our podcast. So you can upload audio into Canva. And the song that I
Yes.
downloaded it's from Epidemic Sound, I think is what it's called.
That's what it is. That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is the site that I got that from. So I paid for that so that we had the rights to use that song that I
Mhm.
use for our podcast. And then I uploaded it into Canva so that if we do edit anything in Canva.
I can
So
use it.
so when we go in and we set up the intro and the outro and then the end screen for YouTube, I have those set up in Canva, and then I just copy those over into
Mhm.
um, Adobe Pro Premiere. Is it Pro Premiere or Premiere Pro? I always say it wrong. I always say it wrong because it's Pro Presenter and it's Premiere Pro. Coming back to what Nikki's response was, though. So when I told her, I said, we need to talk about copyright for YouTube. What was your response to that, Nikki, for those who don't know what happens on our end when we upload a video?
Okay, so I YouTube wants you to avoid copyright as well. It's not like a trap that they're waiting for you to fall into so that way you can go to jail or fine you or whatever.
Right.
They also want you to follow the rules. So as soon as you upload your video, you have to go through the checks and balances of even uploading it in order to post it. And one of those checks is to see if there are any copyright issues. If they detect anything at all that could possibly be copyright, they
Mm-hmm.
won't allow you to upload it. Even as far as if there's like music playing in the background
Mm-hmm.
that you're not necessarily in control of. You're just maybe you're YouTubing or vlogging or something in a store and they have music playing in the
Mm-hmm.
background. Well, whatever that music is playing in the background, if it's copyright, then your video won't be able to post because it has an issue. So they do make sure that the videos that you are posting follow the guidelines. But again, there are some situations in which it's a specific guideline that whatever company has set and they may not catch it, but that company that
Mm-hmm.
is checking for their stuff, they may catch it. So when you're going through it, my biggest advice, if I could give any, is don't take the easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
Really do your research and find what the license agreements are, see what you can use. Don't just search for songs and post them because that's the fastest way to do it. You want to make sure that you're setting yourself up in the long run to be appropriate.
Right.
So right now, while you have some time, while you're setting up the structure of what you're going to do, take the time to really research what you can do and do it appropriately. And I feel like as long as you have that mentality going into this, Tina's mentality was we are doing everything by the book. We had like days of just looking over our terms of use and agreements and making sure that everything that we did was by the book. And I think that's fantastic. Have a guideline and then always adhere to that guideline, so that way you're not, if it seems sketchy or iffy or maybe I'm crossing a line, then probably deter from that.
Right. Yeah, and it can be overwhelming trying to do that. And it can be
Yeah,
overwhelming thinking, well, what if I do this by mistake or whatever? And I have to get to the mentality of I'm doing the absolute best that I know to do. At
exactly.
this point, we're not making any money from this. We don't have an attorney like on retainer that we can go to and say, "Hey, can you double check all this?" But one of the big investments that I did do for what we're doing is at the beginning of the year, there was a sale for so I was listening to some podcast of ideas for, getting started and making sure that you're setting yourself up for success. And one of the ones that I listened to had an attorney come on, and she does contracts for people who are trying to break into like the media realm. And then also she does like legalese. She'll do documents that have the writing that you need to have for your privacy notice or for your agreements or for your contracts. If you are somebody who is wanting to have people promote your product, or maybe you're going to promote somebody else's product, if you get to that point, we're not at
Hmm.
that point, but if you get to
Right.
that point and they want to have a deal with you, let's say that Microsoft reached out to us because we're just so amazing with all of this, and they said,
They know how much I love
Nikki,
them.
we know, and we're losing you to Google. So can you please promote us? In that
If I have
case, they
to.
have to protect themselves, but then we also have to protect ourselves. And so
Right.
there are people out there who will put together contracts and things that you can grab just and then adjust it to fit for yourself.
Right.
And in the long run, if we ever do start making money with this, we'll see. But I told Nikki first thing, we will have to get an attorney to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row. Right
Right.
now, again, we're just kind of playing around with it. And so at this point, that hasn't been a concern so far as all that goes. But that is another reason why we haven't actually sold merch. I've had merch designed for months and ready to go. I just don't know all the ins and outs about the taxes, and I'm terrified to do something
Hmm.
wrong. And so
Yeah.
until I have the time to sit down and really get my brain around that and make sure that it's right, I am I am not willing to put that out there. And so I just feel like if there is something that seems a little bit off, like Nikki said, look into it more, take the time to
Yeah.
call somebody and see what they have to say. I need to work up the nerve to call the city hall again. They didn't
Oh
answer when I
gosh.
called last time, and now I
Oh
just don't
my
want to call
gosh.
them back.
And this isn't just for like podcasts and
Mhm.
YouTube channels. This is for anything that you're putting online. So there are a lot of people who are starting up small businesses and they're making their own websites, and that is
Right.
fantastic. That's very, very good to do. My only advice is make sure that it's legitimate, the stuff that you're putting on your
Mhm.
website.
Right.
For example, I know of a company, obviously I'm not going to say the company, but I know of a company where they were just creating their own website because it was a smaller company. They didn't want to pay to have somebody come in and design them something when they could do it themselves, which is perfectly fine. But they just took images off of Google and put
Mhm.
that on their website.
Right.
Well, then their company got a little bigger than they were
Mhm.
expecting, but their website stayed the same.
Mhm.
So their name got out there, and the people that owned the pictures that they took, these, keep in mind, the pictures that are online, people are proud of their pictures and
Right.
they know where it's going. So
Right.
they're going to track who downloads it, where's it at. They'll run scans to see if it's online somewhere posted. So they ran a scan to see if this image was anywhere, and they found out that it was posted on this website, and this website didn't have permission to use it, and they got a hefty fine for using
Mhm.
something that they weren't supposed to use. So when you're going through and making your websites, it is sometimes the pictures on Google are so pretty, they're so
Mhm.
nice, and we just want to use them.
Right.
But sometimes they're not available for us to use unless we get the appropriate measures. So just like we said before, don't take the easy way out. Research and find what you're supposed to do, so that way you don't find yourself in any of these predicaments going forward.
Yeah, exactly. There are sites where there are pictures that you can go grab. Pixabay is one that comes to mind.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things to see next to a picture is no attribution required.
Free
That
use,
means
yes.
everything to me because that just means they don't require you to cite where it came from. And then
Right.
others will say for commercial use only, or they'll say, you can use it for educational purposes, but not for commercial use. And so you
Right.
just really have to be careful with that. Another place I found that is with fonts. So
Yes,
there are some
fonts.
fonts that, I've purchased along the way, but with
Mhm.
everything that you buy, there's usually some sort of agreement that comes along with
Right.
it. And even if you buy a font, if you open up the file that font comes with, there is an agreement that is there, and it'll tell you in that agreement. You open up that
Right.
file and it'll tell you for appropriate for commercial use.
Yeah.
Don't make any changes to this. Make sure that you give credit to the designer of this. Send a donation here if you would feel up to it,
Right.
or this license gives you permission to use this for 1 year. There's actually a font on our website, Nikki, that I purchased a
I know exactly which
license
one you're talking about.
for a
Mhm.
year. And so I need to make sure that I keep up with that. And then we can decide to either change it, or probably will
Yep.
change it,
I
honestly.
know what you're talking about.
But we need to go through and just make sure that those things are done. And so record
Right.
keeping is also really important to make sure that
Right.
you're able to go back and make changes. Another thing that I saw
Now,
this week. Oh, sorry.
well, I was just gonna ask. I don't know the answer to this because I've never used it
Mhm.
before. Have you looked into AI images? Because not a
So I have
person.
researched that some, because
Yeah.
AI, it generates it. So is there a
Right.
copyright on that or not?
Yeah.
Because nobody technically owns it. I
Exactly.
feel like that's kind of a gray area. Anytime I've looked it up, there are things
Okay.
back and forth about that. Let me just do a quick Google search to see what the response is to that now.
Yeah, because I mean, the stuff that Chat GPT, or no, Chat, I don't know if Chat GPT can go do images, but
Mhm.
Copilot can do
Right.
images. The stuff that they come up with is incredible, and I don't know if it's copyright or not.
So a quick Google search, this is not an extensive search, but it says, and this is what I've seen, is that because it's generated by computers, it can't be copyrighted. There's no
For
one to go
use.
to say, but there are still guidelines you
Interesting.
want to be very careful about. And I will also say with that, I'm glad you brought that up, that a
Hmm.
lot of times now when we're posting, and you haven't posted on YouTube for a while, so I don't know if this was happening when a few months ago, I can't remember when it started, but there is a box that it has you check now where you have to say, is this is there something in this video that is AI generated, so that you can have a warning show up with your
Oh,
video. And I'm seeing that on YouTube. I believe that's also showing up on other sites. I can't remember if it's Facebook and or Instagram.
interesting.
I could be off on that one. But yeah, YouTube for sure. They have a place where you can check, no, there is AI is not being used, or yes, AI is being used, so that you
Interesting.
can make that notation.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, that's a great one for you to bring up. Another thing that I saw last week. So last week I posted a few just shorts of just little bloopers that we had going through our podcast. They've been fun to do. And I think people like seeing us just be completely ridiculous, which is how we are normally. And
100% of the time.
so one of the ones that I did last week, and I can't remember what we were talking about. I feel like we were talking about the door and the lock. I feel like it might be that
Probably.
one, but it
Okay.
has this peppy little song that I found on Canva, and I was like, okay, this will be fine. It's just a quick thing. Honestly, the edits for that were done in Riverside. Riverside will generate AI. Riverside will make AI generated clips for you based off of the
Yes.
recording that you've done. And so I've just
Hmm.
gotten to where I'll say, generate some clips, whatever size, and then I'll go through. And since I'm not having a lot of time right now to edit specific videos for us, I'm just letting it pick some things about our conversation, and then I at least have some things to put out there. And so I picked this peppy little song. I've heard it a lot, so I know it's a popular song that's out there. And when I uploaded it to Facebook, it said that this song has a copyright on it. And I
Hmm.
thought, oh, okay, well then I'll fix it. But it said the copyright holder is okay with you using it. And now every time I open up Facebook lately, this last week, since it's been out there, it tells me your monetized video Like, monetized? When did we get monetized? We are not monetized. And if we are,
Nope.
where's it going? So we're not actually monetized, but it said you are sharing, um, basically we're sharing the money that we make from this video, that money we're not making.
With the
We're agreeing
owner.
by posting it, we're agreeing to share whatever we make from it with the owner of the copyright of that video. And so it let me post it, even though there's a copyright. They say that we're allowed to use it. We just have to share any proceeds that we make with them.
Interesting.
I would love to. I would love to, generate some so that we can share some. I'm all about
I was gonna say, you
sharing.
want all of our $0? Also, before we keep going, my phone, can you see it slowly going up? It's
Yeah,
gonna
I keep
fall.
thinking, like, where is Nikki
It's gonna
going?
fall.
Where is she
Let me
going?
just, one moment. It's literally about to fall.
I feel like we've answered the question. What do you think?
In like a 700 roundabout way. Yes. Is that crystal clear for you?
does that does that follow the yellow brick road for you?
Right.
Yeah, I there's just no right answer for, there's no one
Yeah.
easy answer for dealing with
No.
copyright. I would just
Just
say
do your
to
research.
pay attention to what you're using. If
Yes.
you have your own pictures, that is great. If you don't,
Yes.
you have your own pictures, find a place. There are, do a Google for places where you'd like to go, or pay for a subscription somewhere where they let you use pictures. And then,
Right.
letting your audience know, I do not own the rights to this, or this was, you can look up. And it's hard too, because it depends on, who you are, how it's being used, are you getting paid
Mm-hmm.
for it, who's your audience. um a lot of those things matter. We're coming from an
Right.
education world, and there's a different usage for teachers, which is what we're used to. But then
Mm-hmm.
also now going into the business side of things, and like, we're
It
legitimate
changes.
LLC, we have to make sure that we're following what we need to for that. If you're ministry based, even still ministries, I think ministries kind of see themselves outside of the realm of needing to keep up with copyright. You have to make sure that you are, not just making a bunch of copies of things that you shouldn't be. You want to be above reproach in that area, and it's expensive. And so you want to make sure that what you're investing in is worth your while. And so doing that little bit of extra research can be helpful. We
Yeah.
are not experts in it. If anybody has learned anything, nothing in this, hopefully you have learned that we're not experts. I think we know enough to help ourselves just be aware. And I think just being aware is part of it. And then using the features that are built into a lot of these things, like YouTube, where it'll do a check for you and let you know, hey, for sure you're having an issue. I think
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of people get annoyed when they get a you know, copyright check, and then it comes back and says, hey, you need to fix something.
Right.
And I can see how that can be really frustrating. But I also think having those checks in place in the long run, to be told, hey, something's happening, I think in the long run it can be helpful to fix it now than as opposed to later. Our tech tip of the week then is, when you're starting something new, start with what you already have and then build
Mm-hmm.
from there. Try free sites first, free apps, all of that. Start small. I would not plan on recording an hour-long YouTube or a podcast or anything like that. I would start small. Maybe try 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
then, play around with that, see where you go with that, see what angles you like, what editing software you like, get a feel for all of those things. And then if you don't yet know how to do all of those things, look for tutorials that can explain it to you in a way that makes sense to you. There are so
Ah,
many people out there.
Simple Tech Media?
Simple Tech Media, yeah, but okay, but we're slipping because we haven't been putting out that many tutorials.
Well, tell me what you need and
Yes.
I will get it to you.
You all let us know what you need. Add a comment. It makes us so happy. And it gives me reason to text Nikki,
Yes.
or for her to text me. Yeah. So, all joking aside, though, find somebody who explains things in a way that makes sense to you, and then just start
Yeah.
small. Just try a little bit at a time. Maybe it's just a quick clip that you put together that is a birthday wish to your friend who's having a birthday, and send them that video. And then the next
It's
time,
cute.
go a little bit bigger and work on that. So that would be my tech tip of the week. Start small, start with what you have, start with what you know, and then build from there.
I can't wait to see your videos.
Yeah, tag us in your video if you make it. We would love to see it.